So today I'm going to talk about what the fuck is going on in this world. Like, why is there such a great, amazing response to this series?
Of Heated Rivalry, the hockey show, storming onto the scene, taking over the world.
I joke with my friends that not too long ago, like in March of this year, I was panicking because of the takeover in the United States of a conservative mindset movement again, where they're going to round up all the queers and put them in concentration camps. That was kind of like my paranoia back in March, like this is what's going to happen. And my friends talking about maybe we need to move out of the United States to be safe, and kept me up at night. And to this, I was like, what is going on? This global response, this love of these gay characters, clearly a gay storyline with steamy scenes and a love affair between multiple hockey players. And so it's just fascinating to me. So I want to take a look at why this is hitting me so hard, but also why I think this is bigger on a global scale, why this is has such impact right now. When I first came across this series, I couldn't stop watching. Then I started listening to the books, and so it's just enraptured me, it captured my attention. And then I started thinking, why am I so obsessed with this? As a therapist, trying to clue into listening to my feelings and what's going on below the surface. Whenever I feel drawn to something or it becomes like an obsession, I try to just pay attention to that. Like, what is it that's driving me in this direction? And is it unhealthy or is it not? What is the unhealthy part of it, and how we can kind of look out for that within ourselves, and what is okay, what's like a healthy obsession? That's what was going on with me. I just feel that this draw, like maybe too much. And so I actually brought this to my therapist. So I'm a therapist, but I also continue to go to therapy. And that's part of this channel, is just to be, try to be open for myself as a therapist. I don't have it all figured out. And even having it all figured out doesn't mean you don't go to therapy anymore. So I've been to therapy on and off throughout my life. And I think it's just a kind of mental health practice for me to keep me healthy and to evaluate things that are going on in my life. So I went to my therapist and we talked through this. So I'm going to talk you through some of the points that we talked about in this process as well. I'm Dr. Dave, and this is the Good Life Lab, where we experiment and explore with tools, tips, and techniques for improving your life. I'm specifically focused on helping queer men, especially in the sports or professional world, where you feel like you have to stay in the closet or hidden in some way. It was such a difficult process for me to identify as gay and to accept that part of myself, that I want to be able to help other people in that world as well. So I'm doing this series I'm calling From Heated Rivalries to Real Relationships. The core of my heated rivalries was not just my feelings for other men, but really just being okay with it within myself. It was kind of with myself. And that's the first step, is just trying to be okay with who you are within yourself before or as you're learning to love other men in the process.
I think I'm gay.
Oh yeah, what makes you think that?
Fuck you, you're not gay.
No, not completely.
Yeah, well, I think I am. Completely.
Okay, so you're gay, so what?
Well, it's kind of a big deal. To me, at least. Sorry if I'm being boring again.
Why are you telling me this?
Who else am I gonna tell? It's not just being gay. It's you. It's this.
As I said, I am a therapist and a former college athlete, so it's been a while, but I was a closeted college soccer player. Actually didn't come out until my 40s, so a couple decades of living in the closet, trying to deal with being gay. And so that's the world I've lived in for most of my life. And I also, as a therapist, work with college and professional athletes to help them come out, but also deal with and integrate their sexuality, whatever that is for them in some way. So I'm trying to reach athletes who are struggling to come out, struggling to identify as gay or bi or heteroflexible, whatever that might look like. Please reach out to me if you feel like I can connect with you and understand what's going on for you. Yeah, that's kind of the purpose of this series. So my gut reaction is this episode and why I'm so obsessed and gutted by this series and what's going on in the world, the bigger world around us. Like, why is this such a amazing response to this gay romance that's, like out of the blue? So that's it. I was a college athlete. I knew how to compete. I knew how to push through pain. What I didn't know was how to survive wanting a man. I didn't know how to survive the idea that my desire might cost me everything if I came out. Those are things that, as an athlete, even though I was trained to compete, I just didn't know how to deal with my feelings for other guys at the time. So I think that's partly why this series is so compelling. It captures that tension of being a confident man in a sports world, but then also not being able to deal with your feelings for another man. That was my story, and I think that's captured in the series as well. So I have, I think, 5 points in this, why I think I'm so obsessed and what's going on in the world and why the world is so obsessed with this series. And the first reason I think I'm so obsessed is it feels like it validates me in my experience. And in some ways it's fresh, it's new, it's like never been expressed to me before, because I've never seen a clear sports, clearly athletic two men falling in love with each other and going through the stages of coming out, acknowledging your feelings and being out about that with the other person. So that's what has me, kind of like engaged so much, is just this new approach to it. Also, the series captures the idea of being hidden for 10 years and having these secret love affairs, which, I was actually hidden for 20 or 30 years without the secret love affairs because I was so committed to my faith. And so this series just validates my experience in being a closeted athlete and then that going on for 30 years. So it's the first point why it's hitting me so hard. Another reason I think this is hitting so hard, I think there's a lot going on between the characters that is universal. It's not just about two queer, masculine-looking sports figures falling in love. I think there's a lot of universal truth to what's going on. It's fascinating to me that my friends, both straight and gay, male and female, are just captivated by the series. And like I said, there's something universal going on. So what is that universal truth that is happening that is drawing people in? And when I told my therapist the other day that was just fascinated by the series, he said, well, yeah, my daughter is also into it, and she's watched it 3 times with her friend. And I know there's a podcast, two straight brothers hockey podcast called The Empty Netters, and they're just fascinated by it.
Your clips have been going viral, but also the main thing that's going viral was people watching your clips and reacting to them.
Yeah.
It's almost like your stuff is not really performing well, but it's like,
oh, dude,
the
it's
clips.
been hilarious.
My entire TikTok feed was like, I love watching these straight guys like react to the finale.
Yeah. It was.
Sean was getting emotional.
Oh my
Their
God.
producer Sean.
Oh, we all
he
cried.
I
cried in the last episode.
That was a powerful moment.
For sure.
I just finished it in my office. I closed the door just to make sure.
Yeah, you better, dude.
Yeah.
So I know this is a much broader appeal than just to the queer audience. This series is about something human, not just sexual or even political, but real and authentic. It's about wanting love. It's about being afraid of the love that you want or crave. And then also learning how to stop fighting that love, accepting it and enjoying it and giving yourself over to it. Those are all universal truths that this series beautifully portrays between these two men. So in my reflections with myself and with my therapist, it's clear that this series affirms not just the queer closeted athlete, but all of us who are longing for something, who want the tenderness and the romance, that this series is affirming all of that. It's drawing us in because it's portraying something in the music and the cinematography and the acting and the writing, that we all have this universal need for connection, for tenderness, for romance, for love. And another reason, a third reason I think this is doing so well, or why this is such a big deal around the world, is because of, like I said, the writing, the directing. There's a fan base early on from the books. And then the writer, creator who adapted the books to the series, the HBO series, is gay himself. And as a seasoned writer, director, producer, he's honed his skills of telling a story and showing it on screen. And so he's done a beautiful job of bringing all these elements together of the writing and the music and the acting and the characters. So I think it's just a natural thing, a natural response. He knows how to pull at the heartstrings, and he's done a great job of that.
Can I ask if you've ever been with another guy? Have you ever told anyone that before? Was it different with a guy?
Of course.
Was it better?
Yeah, it was better. The thing is, I kind of prefer being the whole rather than the peg.
And so have the actors who have been a part of it, and the cinematographers who capture these scenes just beautifully. The lighting and the mood of everything is just so well done. So kudos to all the people who were behind the scenes and putting this together and creating something really beautiful, a masterpiece, I really think. Something else I think is going on that I talked to my partner about, and then I mentioned to my friends, my gay friends, but also to my therapist recently. I think that part of the response that's going on in the world is because we have the stereotypical queer characters like Will and Grace, and Will and Jack on that series, and from the Modern Family, the gay couple in that series, and a lot of others. I think there are more recent movies that are doing a good job of that. There's a broad spectrum of queer representation in film, but I think this is even on steroids in terms of the sports figures and the shower scenes. They're clearly athletes and jocks and in love with each other. And so I think we finally have a full spectrum of queer people. And I think it's something I've been longing for on TV shows, to show that there are different types of gay relationships. They're not just all Will and Jack types of relationships. There's professionals in other realms that fall in love with each other. So I'm thankful for that representation. That's a long time coming, I think. And along with this point, I think too is, I think I heard the director or the creator, Jacob Tierney, talk about this, that and Rachel Reed, I think they were both saying in the book, is clear that they have a sex scene in the prologue of Heated Rivalry. So she puts it up front. This is what it's about. And a lot of gay movies, and I mean it's changing, but you would get this interaction and maybe this longing and yearning for each other throughout, and maybe a kiss at the end of the movie. And so this does that differently. And so I think Jacob Tierney wanted there to be this buildup of longing for each other, and then not just for sex, but that changed and morphed and transformed into a sincere love for one another. And so I'm thankful for that. But I think that the world, the gay world especially, I've been longing for something that it's not just you get a little taste of a kiss at the end of the movie, but you have this full spectrum of romance and love and engagement throughout. And so I appreciate that about the series. So another point here, why this is such a global phenomenon. I talked to my therapist about this, and I don't have a lot of evidence for this other than some research that suggests that men in general, whether you're gay, bi, straight, or heteroflexible, there's sort of an identity crisis going on in our country for young men. And the stats do show that there's more isolation, there's less attendance in college, and less, fewer men in, professional roles that are as successful and happy, and depression. Men are just in this period of crisis. I think seeing two successful, athletic men in love with each other, I don't know, I think there's a longing for seeing something like that on TV. I think people are fascinated by male relationships and how they navigate identity. And because I think that's being reflected in our society as a whole. And I think it's just been fascinating for people to see two beautiful men have sex and be in love. And I mentioned the Two Straight Brothers podcast, the Empty Netters, who just say it, he said, one of them said that, yeah, I see two beautiful people, falling in love, and I just want them to kiss each other. Like that's natural. You don't have the homophobia, or that's diminishing maybe in some circles, that's you just see two beautiful people falling in love, and this is the natural result of that, is to kiss each other and to be romantic with each other. So I think that's another fascinating thing that's happening in response to the series. I think part of what the Empty Netters are capturing, desire is compelling, beauty is compelling. Love stories, regardless of who they are, work well when they're told well. And you don't have to be gay to understand longing. So I will say, as I close here in this final point, that for those who are captivated with this series like I have been, first of all, just enjoy it. I think you probably are if you've seen it and you're maybe watching it a couple times, like me, watching it 3 or 4 times. I'm just celebrating it because I was hidden so long in my desire, and now I'm maybe on the opposite side, or I'm just celebrating that desire, which I think is healthy and good. So if you are enjoying the series, just enjoy it, and celebrate it like I am. I think that's good. That's healthy. It's what makes us human. What makes us alive is to enjoy those love stories. But I will say to pay attention to the obsession as well. As a therapist and as somebody who is trying to be mindful of being obsessed, but not being taken over by the obsession, learning to know that difference. I think it's important to remind yourself of, whether it's this or any other obsession you might have, that you take time to reflect on that. What is it that's drawing you there? Is it becoming unhealthy? And I've had times of, like, when I'm listening to the books and watching the series, I'm just like trying to balance that out with just life in general, so I don't escape to this world. And I have a good life. I have a fantastic partner. I have meaningful work. I'm healthy. I love getting outside to work out. So I feel like I'm balanced in many ways. But even then, I feel like I'm susceptible, if I'm not careful, to being overly obsessed with this series. So pay attention to yourself, your longings. So is there something missing? Are you using this series as an escape, which that's part of celebrating and enjoying it, but are you taking it too far? Are you using it to replace healthy, meaningful connections and conversations in real life? So be aware of any obsession that you have like that, like I am trying to be with this series. And I think this point it kind of hit home with me when I was talking to my therapist about this, just telling him I was so captured by this series. And we had this discussion about, is what's depicted in the series real, or is real life more real? Like, which is more real? And to just be clued into your obsession about it. And I think there are elements of both. I think what's so successful in the series is because it depicts an authentic struggle to come out, to be in love, to follow your desires for somebody else, and to be honest about that. And the struggle of coming out in that journey is there throughout the series. But it is with two amazingly beautiful people and beautifully set scenes, and there's a positive resolution to all that happens at the end. And so all that's maybe not as real as real life. And so just being mindful again of loving the one you're with. That's, to me, the point. And if this series helps you with that, great. If it takes you away from that, then maybe pay attention to that. And what is it that is drawing you away from or replacing some intimacy that you might long for in your real life? If you're obsessed and wrecked by it as much as I am, these questions can be helpful to you. So let me say again that as I take time to celebrate and revel in the beauty of the series and the books, I want to also take a step back and just be in a mindset of gratitude for all that I have, the good that I have in my life, the relationships, friendships that I have, the material resources I have, the meaningful work that I have, just having beauty around me in terms of being outside in the wintertime when it's cold and enjoying the times I have to travel. So a lot to be grateful for, that this series, in a weird way, because I'm like so enraptured by the beauty of it all, that it reminds me of like, oh yeah, you don't have to escape into this fantasy world. You can love the people in your life now, and you do, and you can be grateful for what you have. And so that's the therapist talking in me, I want to make sure that for myself, that my obsession, I don't get carried away with it for too long, but that it just maybe serves to remind me of how much I have and how much I have to be thankful for. So I hope it does the same for you as we continue through this series. If I didn't mention in the introduction, I'm calling this series, I'm doing a 6-part series on heated rivalry. And I'm calling it From Heated Rivalry to Real Loving Relationships, to help us move from the fantasy of it all to back down to earth and loving the people that we're with and building authentic relationships like we see sort of depicted in the series. And for those queer, closeted, whether you're gay, bi, hetero, flexible, or just curious, and you're in the sports world, whatever that means, college, professional, please know that there's someone else out there that can relate, like me, who's been through that. And I'd love to work with you to try to help you navigate these next steps of your life, of trying to come out, or like for me, it was 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards in terms of coming out. I think I've come out 3 or 4 times in my life because of my professional career aspirations. So I know what that's like to try to navigate life while in the closet and trying to survive and thrive while you're thinking about coming out, and then also taking steps towards coming out and what that can be like. So please reach out to me if you're in that world. I'm leaving the contact information below, and also some slots in my schedule to just have a free session with you. So please do that. Reach out to me if you are in that world of trying to come out. Coming up in the next episode, I've promised kind of walking through steps of the coming out for people. And I'm hoping to get a friend, a colleague, who also has come out over the last couple of years and was a college athlete as well. So we're going to talk through the different scenes of Heated Rivalry and how they relate to us in our coming out journeys. I think you've been able to see why I'm so obsessed with this series, why I'm so wrecked by it, and why we're going to take the next few weeks to talk about it some more. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time.